the first issue that we've been dealing with was really the ventilators. That was the number 1, number 2, and number 3 from all the states. What we've been finding is that people have a lot of these requests based on the models, and what we've been trying to do over at FEMA is say to the states, well, if you would like ventilators, we need to see, first look in your states, right? So for example, in northern Jersey, they're going down to southern Jersey and they're finding ventilators and trying to relocate them to where they have their hotspots. The second thing that we've done is we've asked them to survey for alternative ventilators. Dr. Berg spoke before about the anesthesia machines and the ability to convert them to be ventilators. So we're asking people to be resourceful inside their states before they come to the federal government. The third thing we've been asking states to do is to provide what their daily utilization rates are. So everyone's asking for everything. One congressman got a call from his local hospital saying, I need 250 ventilators. And he said, well, you don't have a COVID patient within 4 counties. Why do you want 250 ventilators? And he says, well, we just want to be safe. We're very nervous right now. So what you have all over the country is a lot of people are asking for things that they don't necessarily need at the moment. And the job of FEMA and Admiral Polovchek has been to try to make sure that we're getting the real data from the cities, from the states, that we can make real-time allocation decisions based on the data. And right now what's happening is a lot of the different cities and states are providing FEMA that information. We're talking to them daily. They're updating that information daily, and that's enabling the federal government to make much more informed decisions on where they position ventilators. You also have a situation where in some states, FEMA allocated ventilators to the states, and you have instances where in cities they're running out, but the state still has a stockpile. And the notion of the federal stockpile was it's supposed to be our stockpile. It's not supposed to be state stockpiles that they then use. So we're encouraging the states to make sure that they're assessing the needs, they're getting the data from their local situations, and then trying to fill it with the supplies that we've given them. The same thing with the mask. So the N95 mask is actually an item that wasn't used as frequently in the medical profession before this. It was used mostly for diseases. So speaking to a lot of the doctors and hospital administrators, they would say they used actually a very low percentage of the N95 masks. What the president and the vice president were able to do with Congress was to get the waiver so that you could expand the pool, because a lot of the masks were used for the construction industry. So now there's a much bigger pool of masks in the country. There was a stockpile. They distributed that based on where they anticipated a lot of the need would go, but a lot of that still is stuck with the states, and it hasn't trickled down to the right places within the states. So I would just encourage you, when you have governors saying that the federal government hasn't given them what they need, I would just urge you to ask them, well, have you looked within your state to make sure that you haven't been able to find the resources? Unlike other countries, a lot of the medical system in America is a private. It's not a public government controlled. So you have to get the data from what's in their state, look at it in that way, and then make sure that they're being resourceful in a way to do that. And also ask them what their utilization percentage is, because if one governor is asking for more ventilators and if the federal government sends them more than they need, the goal here is not to have ventilators sitting in a warehouse where you have another state where you have people who need them. So what we're trying to do is make informed, data-driven decisions both on ventilators, masks, any other supply we can get to make sure it's going to the people who need them.
Jared, what triggered?
I wonder if you could weigh in on the reports of which I'm sure you're aware, where unnamed White House officials have described your role as being something of running a shadow task force. How do you describe your role? How do you describe the qualifications you bring to your role?
Yeah, I would just say very simply, look, the president asked the vice president to run the task force. The vice president asked me to assist. I've been serving really at the direction of the vice president. He's asked me to get involved in different projects. The vice president and I speak probably sometimes 5-10 times a day, but everything that I'm doing is at the direction of the vice president. If some people are talking to you, that means they're probably not informed as to what's going on, but I can assure you that I'm speaking with Dr. Birx, Dr. Fauci, the Vice President, and the President multiple times a day to make sure that I'm accomplishing and focusing on the objectives that the Vice President deems a priority.
Jared, to follow up on the ventilators and the national stockpile.
Or these sources don't exist. They're fake sources. Okay. A lot of fake sources out there, they don't exist. I read about it for a long time. I've been reading. A lot of them are fake sources. They don't exist. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Jared, what triggers sending a ventilator from the national stockpile to a state? In other words, how sick does somebody have to be to get one of these national ventilators?
Well, that's not the issue that's not the criteria. You have the states basically putting in their requests, and they're giving us their utilization percentages. So it's a very simple formula. The states should know how many ventilators they have in their states. And by the way, some governors you speak to are senators, and they don't know what's in their state. You know, some governors I'll speak to, and they'll know to the number how many ventilators they have in their state, because that's the first thing a good manager will do. What a lot of the voters are seeing now is that when you elect somebody to be a mayor or a governor or a president, you're trying to think about who will be a competent manager during the time of crisis. This is a time of crisis, and you're seeing certain people are better managers than others. So what I would say is that the way that the federal government's trying to allocate it is they're trying to make sure, A, you have your data, right? Don't ask us for things when you know that, when you don't know what you have in your own state. Just because you're scared, you ask your medical professionals, and they don't know. You have to take inventory of what you have in your own state, and then you have to be able to show that there's a real need. And so we pre-positioned a lot of things because most governors off the bat didn't know what they needed. But FEMA has a joint command with Admiral Polovchek, Admiral Giroir, and Pete Gaynor, where every couple hours when their requests come in, they evaluate the requests, they all vote on the requests, and then if there's something that they want to elevate to the task force, they bring it to the vice president to make a recommendation.
Chair, if I may, you might ask Deborah to